Lights at the corner of my cab and my box indicate the height, width, and length of my vehicle. My 3 center ID lights in the center of my cab and back of my box indicates a commercial vehicle. Amber in the front, red in the back. My windshield is not cracked, broken, or illegal stickers. The window sill around it is not ripped or torn to prevent air or water inside my cab. My wipers is not cracked, broken, or missing any parts. The blades is not ripped or torn, and no debris to prevent scratches. My lenses is not cracked, broken, or missing. My left and my right directional signal. Also my 4-way flashers is not cracked, broken, or burnt out bolts. Amber in the front, red in the back. My stop light is not cracked, broken, or burnt out bolts. My license plate is clean, visible, and tight and secured to the bumper with a full set nuts and bolts. And I'm checking underneath the truck for any oil or water leaks. Now I'm gonna go to my passenger side. There you go. The office for the Avalon company. I follow the biggest hose coming out of my radiator. The hose is free from cuts, cracks, and bulges. The clamp is tight and secure. It leads me to my water pump. My water pump is not cracked, broken, or illegally welded. Tight and secured to the engine with a full set of nuts and bolts. My alternator is not cracked, broken, and illegally welded. Tight and secured to the engine with a full set of nuts and bolts. The wires behind my alternator, no bare wires to prevent a short. Now I go to the driver's side. Okay, my driver's side. I have my coolant reservoir. It's not cracked, broken, or leaking. It's at the proper level. It's tight and secured to the radiator with a full set of nuts and bolts. My hoses are free for cuts, cracks, and bulges. The clamps, tight and secured. My cap is not missing and it's tight and secured. And my power steering reservoir is not cracked, broken, or leaking. It's at the proper level. It's tight and secure to the chassis with a full set of nuts and bolts. The cap is not missing, tight and secure. My hoses are free for cuts, cracks, and bulges. The clamps are tight and secure. I follow this hose coming out of my power steering reservoir. Takes me all the way back there is my power steering pump. My power steering pump is not cracked, broken, or illegally welded. And it's tight and secured to the engine with a full set of nuts and bolts. My windshield reservoir, it's not cracked, broken, or leaking. It should be at a proper level. In this case, it's empty. It's tight and secured to the chassis with a full set of nuts and bolts. My engine reservoir is not cracked, broken, illegally welded, and the cap is not missing, tight and secured. I follow these hoses. It takes me to my air compressor. My air compressor is not cracked, broken, illegally welded, tight and secured to the engine with a full set of nuts and bolts, and I'm listening for leaks. All right, so now my serpentine belt controls my alternator. And my serpentine belt is not ripped or torn. No more than 3/4 of play between the 2 pulleys. It's not too long or too short. Too long will slip off. Too short or tight, it'll damage the bearings or anything connected to it. Okay, now my steering box is not cracked, broken, or illegally welded. Tight and secured to the chassis with a full set of nuts and bolts. My steering rod is not cracked, broken, illegally welded, and no more than 2 inches of play. My joints is not cracked, broken, illegally welded, well lubricated, tight and secure. My spring mount hanger is not cracked, broken, illegally welded, tight and secured to the chassis with a full set of nuts and bolts. My leaf spring is not cracked, broken, illegally welded. It's a full set. My mounting pad is at a proper place. It's not cracked, broken, illegally welded. My U-bolt is not cracked, broken, illegally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. My shock absorber is not cracked, broken, and leaking. If it is, it needs to be replaced, and it's tight and secured to the chassis. And my axle with a full set of nuts and bolts. My steering linkage consists of 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Way down there. It's not cracked, broken, illegally welded. The joints is well lubricated and it's not leaking. My castle nuts is tight and secure with the cotter pin going through them. My brake hose is free for cuts, cracks, and bulges. I'm listening for leaks. My brake chamber is not cracked, broken, illegally welded, tight and secured to the axle with a full set of nuts and bolts. My seat clamp is not missing. It's not cracked, broken, illegally welded, tight and secured. My push rod is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secure with the cotter pin. My slack adjuster is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secure with its cotter pin. No more than 1 inch of play with the brakes off. My inner axle seal is not cracked, broken, or leaking. If it is, it needs to be replaced. My brake pad, no less than 1/4 of life. My brake drum is not cracked, broken, legally welded. My inner and outer steers are free from cuts, cracks, and bulges. There's no nails or screws to prevent a flat. The tire thread should be no less than 432s. No recap is permitted. And the tire pressure should be 85 to 100 or whatever the manufacturer recommends. This is my rim and this is my wheel. They're both not cracked, broken, and legally welded. My ventilation hose, I'm checking for a white powder or black powder. White powder indicates the brakes overheated and the fire extinguisher is used. Black powder indicates metal rubbing. My valve stem is not bent or touching the rim. The cap, it is missing. My lug nuts is a full set. They're all tight and secured. There's no rust. If there is, that means it's loose and needs to be tightened. My hub plate is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. My mirror bracket is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secured to the door with a full set of nuts and bolts. My hinges is not cracked, broken, or legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. My mirror is not cracked, broken, or any illegal stickers. My door latch is not cracked, broken, or illegally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. The weather seal around my door is not ripped or torn or missing. It's to prevent air or water inside my cab. My emergency compartment, I said it on my end cap. Would you like for me to repeat it? The examiner will say no. My steps is not cracked, broken, legally welded, tight and secure with a full set of nuts and bolts. My strap is not cracked, broken, legally welded.